I'm Jeff Schwartz. This is our May update for Schwartz Performance. You're probably wondering why I'm driving this Z06 Corvette. Well, in the General Motors world, the Z06 Corvette has the highest performance small block Chevy of any application. Back in 2006, when the LS7 came out in the Z06, it was a 427, put out 505 horsepower. All the hot rodders wanted those in their GM hot rods. So we ended up doing a lot of development on those engines, and we shortly after it came out, we're up at 675 horsepower, and then we did a 730 horsepower, which you may have read in several magazines, on pump gas, 730 horsepower in a streetable combination. So this Corvette now has the new GM engine. It's an LT4. General Motors revamped the small block line in 2014, and they have the LT1 is the base Corvette engine, and then the LT4 is the Z06 engine. At this point, it's the highest performance engine with 650 horse and 650 foot-pounds of torque. In this particular engine, they have a 1750cc supercharger. It's much smaller than the outgoing ZR1, which had a 2300cc supercharger. It's spinning at over 20,000 RPMs, and there's not much room to change blower pulleys. The casting is right up inside the pulley, so not much room for improvement there. I guess we can go about 1/8 of an inch smaller to get a little more boost. There's power to be had with tuning, and we'll find that out shortly. We're really excited to be dabbling in the new engine. We also have an LT1 engine, which I'll show you inside. By the way, General Motors resurrected the old names for this new engine, which is now the 5th generation small block Chevy. So LT1 is the base Corvette, LT4 is the upgraded engine. Let me tell you a little bit about the Z06 Corvette. This particular version has the Z07 package with the Stage 3 aerodynamics. The Stage 3 aerodynamics is this larger end piece for the splitter. The carbon splitter is part of the Stage 2 aerodynamics. And then we've added some Forge Line wheels here. Since we're one of the top 10 Forge Line dealers, we like to have wheels on cars that we can show people. These are Brembo ceramic carbon brakes. You can actually see the brake rotor is carbon fiber. And the most impressive thing about this car is how quickly these 15.5-inch diameter brakes stop this car. These Forge Line wheels in the rear are 13 inches wide. These are the GA1R with the open lug version. And these are dark bronze, by the way, which actually blends in well with the carbon fiber ground effects. This is also part of the Stage 2-3 aero package. And then in the back here, we also have additional spoiler pieces, and then there's a third piece that goes in the middle as well, which is also part of the Stage 3 aero package.
Okay.
We recently got one of the new LT1 Corvette engines. This is the base Corvette engine. Also, the trucks now have a version of this as well. This engine has variable valve timing as well as cylinder deactivation, so the rock arms have these little bumps to accommodate for deactivating cylinders. When you're coasting or going down a hill, it'll actually go into 4-cylinder mode and save a lot of fuel. This base Corvette engine in a Corvette gets up to 31 miles per gallon in the highway, and it puts out 460 horsepower. The interesting thing about this is if you get a Z51 package, which is performance handling package, it comes with a dry sump oiling system. The regular Corvettes get a wet sump. Incidentally, GM offers this as a crate engine as well. You can buy either version for about 10 grand, and the dry sump version is a few hundred extra. This is our 72 Chevy shop truck. We're using it to tool up a customer chassis, and then shortly thereafter we'll make a chassis for the truck itself. This is a step side like we talked about last month. This customer is getting the new LT1 Corvette engine, so we're mocking it up with that right now. and then our version is going to get a fuel-injected 540 cube big block. Up front here, we've used our standard proven suspension geometry, same components we use on all of our chassis. These are needle bearings in the upper A-arms, our own spindles, power rack and pinion, and this one here has Wilwood hubs on it. Jay here's assembling a 70 Cuda chassis. This one is getting a year one wheel that mimics the older style Mopar rally wheels that were standard on those cars, that were optional on those cars. Standard equipment on every Schwartz chassis is 6 piston calipers with 13-inch rotors. Most other companies you have to pay a lot extra for that, but standard equipment, 6 piston 13-inch brakes on all 4 corners. Right here we've got a blue chassis. It's going under a 67 Chevelle. The car is going to be blue as well. Justina's '89 Camaro is just about ready to rock and roll. We're doing a little final adjustments on the suspension. She's doing the autocross school at the Milwaukee Region SCCA this weekend. That is at the Miller Park Ballpark out in that giant parking lot. We've talked about this 52 Chevy pickup in the past. This is not to be confused with the 52 Ford that we expended the cab on, but this one's a stock 5-window cab, and it's got a Schwartz G-Machine chassis. It's got forged line grip forged wheels, and it's got a really nice two-tone paint job. We're putting a Schwartz 530 horsepower LS3 in there with a T56 Magnum, and we're in the final stages of assembly now, and hope to have this on the road probably within the next 30 days. As you can see, we put Dynamat throughout the vehicle. We've used other products, but I gotta say that Dynamat has the best adhesive that I've ever used. It doesn't seem to fall off like some other brands that I've tried. So we stick to genuine Dynamat. You've all seen this 75 Trans Am in previous updates, and we're in the very final stages of completion. We're going to be driving this thing this week and doing the final tuning on it, and then the upholstery will get all put in it. The interesting thing about this is the customer wanted kind of a sleeper, so we used genuine Pontiac power, and then we had Circle Racing wheels make us these 19 by 13 wheels. This one here looks like a Pontiac rally wheel, so it even uses the factory Pontiac rally center cap. This Pontiac engine is a 455. We took the original 400 block, put 4-bolt mains in it, forged crankshaft, all the good internal parts. This one is fuel injected, and we're using a high-rise intake manifold, and we were able to custom build a air cleaner base to fit the factory shaker hood on there. And I'm sure you all want to hear it fire up, so we'll fire it up for you and you can check it out. It's got a really good exhaust sound, especially from the rear of the car. We even put the factory splitter tips on it. Can you see the two of them? This right-hand drive 70 Cuda project is moving forward. We finally dyno tested the engine. This is a supercharged Hemi. It's a modern Hemi, 6.4 liter based that's been stroked to a 7 liter. So it's a genuine 426 Hemi now, but the new style Hemi. This has a supercharger on it and it made 805 horsepower. So this thing's gonna really fly. In the interior, Jim is working on a recessed pocket in the tunnel to fit the shifter down in there, and that'll make it more ergonomic for the driver. Most modern cars have a short shift lever and it's recessed in, so we're basically doing the same thing on this one. We're using a low car shifter on this, and Jim has fitted the retaining plate underneath the console, so this leather boot will actually come up through here and get sandwiched in between there. We also have a digital a gear shift indicator LED, which tells you which gear you're in. He's also nicely integrated our Vintage Air AC controls into the console, which will be right here. This 68 Charger, last month we were mini tubbing it, and we've now completed that. You can see we've widened the wheel wells about 3.5 inches per side, and now we're focusing on the engine bay. When we put the Schwartz G-Machine chassis in a Mopar, typically there's a factory shock tower here, and that gets removed because we're putting a coilover suspension in there. In this case, the owner wanted the entire front suspension and chassis covered up, so Jason fabricated this inner fender panel to cover all that stuff. We still have our upper shock tower brace here that'll go to the firewall, and we still have to smooth out the firewall. The customer came in from out of state yesterday and he saw these inner fender panels, really liked the look, and they look a little bit mismatched when you see this ugly factory firewall, so he decided that he'd like us to smooth that as well, which is part of our standard build process here. Last month we talked about the inner fenders needing clearance on this S10 pickup, and those inner fender panels have been refabricated. Shane was working on this, and he's got this nice inner panel here with the bead rolled in it, and then these wide front mini tubs. This 55 Chevy is a really nice car. It was a done car, but we're doing upgrades to it. So the owner decided he'd like a different interior feel rather than a stock 55 Chevy look, which had 2 humps on either side. So we enlarged this to a much larger dimension, and then we have auto meter gauges that'll fit in here. And then he wanted a pocket where he can put some items like sunglasses and so forth. Murray Paff did the rendering design of this dash layout and interior, so we're moving forward with the project along those design parameters. This Chevelle, we got the door panels all finished up as far as the raw materials. They'll get covered with leather eventually, but the fiberglass has been modified for speaker clearance. They've been moved, the speaker openings have been moved, and now Greg is working on the roll bar.